Jack it up.
I'm going to note that we have a quorum. The mayor's going to join us momentarily, but I'm going to call the meeting to order. And to begin with our Pledge of Allegiance, Deputy Chief Mills, I think you'll introduce Detective Steinke.
Sir, good morning and thank you. Detective Steinke started his career with the police department in June of 1994 as a DFO. He graduated from the academy in March of 1996, became a detective in May of 2023. His assignments have been in detention, Metro Patrol, property crimes, and the forensic computer crimes section. He has been assigned there since August of 2005. For the last 6 years, he served as the Deputy Director of the Regional Computer Forensics Laboratory, and most importantly to me, he's also my brother-in-law.
Thank you.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you remain standing, Chaplain McCann, good morning.
Let us pray. Almighty and everlasting God, hear our prayer this day for the members of the Board of Police Commissioners. For the weight of the responsibilities they bear is great. Guide and direct them in all their deliberations. Bless them with profound wisdom to perceive what is right and grant them courage to pursue it. May their decisions always promote the common good and the welfare of all your people in accordance with your just and holy will. We pray for Chief Graves and for those who guide and lead the department. And we pray for all the dedicated men and women of the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department, for they have answered the call to protect and serve the people of this great city. Watch over them with your heavenly grace. Strengthen them in their trials. Give them courage to handle the perils which beset them, and bless them with a sure and certain knowledge of your abiding presence in every circumstance. May your holy angels guard them as they faithfully go about their duties. All this we pray in your most holy name. Amen.
Mayor, will you have a designee this morning to present?
I do not have a designee. I also, if the prosecutor is next on the agenda, she noted to me she will not be here. She did want us to highlight the domestic violence efforts that have been discussed both by municipal court in collaboration with KCPD, ensuring there's greater intervention for fathers, and then also, of course, the dashboard that she's keeping and the great collaborative work with this department.
Well, thank you for passing that on to us. That's very welcome. Moving through our agenda then, we have our lobbyist, Mr. Arnold, with us this morning. Good morning.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, members of the board. My name is Andy Arnold. Am your lobbyist. Our firm has represented you for a number of years now. I gave a handout basically of what happened in the last session. I think you all have that. It shows the bills that we interacted with, and many of those, I will go over those very briefly. Any questions about those, I'll be glad to try to answer them. With law enforcement and the fact that Jefferson City is a political animal, this is an election year. We are anticipating a lot of legislation dealing with law enforcement. We don't know what it is yet, but there will be a lot of it because everybody likes to run on a strong law enforcement platform. But last year, the governor, I think, took a lot of the wind out of some people's sails with some of the legislation that he wanted. His House Bill 495 was the cornerstone of his law enforcement platform when he ran for governor. It does a number of things, and we have made the department aware of some of these changes. But let me start from the top. You've got the World Cup coming to town next year. There is roughly $37.5 million that's been allocated and appropriated for $20 million for security, which I don't think we're getting a whole lot of at the department, but we're getting some. And then $17.5 million is going to the Sports Authority for the facilities and taking care of those things. There are some sunshine law changes that are beneficial to the agencies from the standpoint that when somebody makes a request, there's always the request that they don't have to pay a fee. If you determine that there needs to be a fee, the law has been changed to where you can request the fee up front before you do any work. They don't pay the fee up front, then the request is considered withdrawn. They also put a provision in there that as of August 28th of this year, if they don't pay the fee by January 1 of next year, all those requests are withdrawn automatically. So it's kind of retroactive, but it isn't. It basically, if we do get a lot of requests, and I'm sure we do, for fees, so it kind of takes it away from, you have man hours, you have time, you have copying time, you have all those types of things, and that was the intent to do it. We had a retirement age issue that you can either be 35 years or 65 for the department, and it only affects Kansas City Police. We put in there. There is the Public Safety Recruitment and Retention Act, which allows free college tuition for, among other things, police officers, firefighters, paramedics, telecommunicator responders. That has to be appropriated, and that's the second part of the conversation. It may not be as pleasant as the first part of the conversation. And then the omnibus police bill. You've got a lot of reporting requirements that are going to kick in 2028, January 28. If you pull somebody over for a stop and you ascertain that they're a citizen, you report they're a citizen. If you ascertain that they are illegal, you need to report that they're an illegal or they're here on an expired visa. I don't know how you're going to do that, but that was a big deal in the legislature this last year. Mutual assistance agreements, the chief has the authority to ask for help from outside agencies in time of crisis, or at any time, I think. Stunt driving, street takeovers was a big issue for us. We put forward some language. They didn't particularly like our language, so they came up with their own language. And it puts kind of the burden on the city for a city ordinance on forfeiture of vehicles and things like that that are used in stunt driving or street takeovers. The cornerstone of that bill was the reconstitution of the St. Louis Board of Police Commissioners that went out 10 or 12 years ago. They reconstituted the board. The governor's appointed 6 people instead of, or 5 people instead of 4 lay people, one of which does not have to live in the city but does not have any voting privileges or voting rights. So we're still trying to figure out why that was put in there that way, but it was put in there that way. But they have virtually the same powers and authority as you all do now. They had it before, it went away, it apparently didn't work, and they're kind of reconstitute that. There's a provision on jails and correctional facilities that the telephone, you can only charge 12 cents for a telephone call. I don't know what we do there, I just threw it in there. Criminal informants issue in there, there's criminal activity, peace officer training and licensures is 6 hours of training on racial profiling to be broken down in 2-hour segments on profiling, implicit bias training, and de-escalation training. And these are all state requirements that we'll have to meet, or you'll have to meet. There's a committee on school safety, DPS. You've got the missing and murdered African-American women and girls task force. And then you have wrongful conviction of an individual. That's all in the omnibus crime bill. And again, I know the department's been wading through that and trying to figure out what all that means, to be quite honest about it, because there's a lot of stuff that we really don't know how it impacts you, and you guys know how it does it, and we got to figure out whether it's a problem, and if it's a problem, we can go back and see if we can fix it or change it, or get a exemption from it. We also had the omnibus education bill, which includes agreements with law enforcement agencies for school districts, for law enforcement reporting. There's been an issue with, do you report it to social services if they're a juvenile, or do you report it to the police department? That's what that's all about. And then there's an active shooter and intruder response training for schools, for school personnel that is in there. And it doesn't require the department to take part, but I would assume that somewhere down the line, the department's going to get asked to take part or to be involved with it. You may want to be involved with it. I don't know. It's kind of up to you guys. That's what basically, in a nutshell, happened last year, last session. We did have 2 special sessions. They both ended badly as far as the Democrats are concerned. The Senate used a very seldom used procedure called the previous question to demand and command a vote on issues, which I've met with 34 senators, and I think we've met with 28 of them already this summer, just since session's over, and talked to them. The Democrats, if give you on a scale of 1 to 10, how angry are they? They're all at a 15 right now, which does not bode well for January through May of next year. The Republican side of it is that we got things done that need to be done. And so until they get together and start talking to one another and figuring out what they need to do going forward, we're anticipating that first 30 days is I just wish the weather was really nice to where you could go to the golf course, because it may be a free-for-all for about 30 days in there. But they seem to overcome dysfunction most of the time. On the budgetary outlook, numbers for August for the state of Missouri were good. Numbers for September were bad. Numbers for October are continuing to trend downward. We have very good relations with the budget staff in the state of Missouri, and they're anticipating $1 billion, that's with a B, shortfall coming into the 2027 fiscal year. I think that's right. Yeah. So that would tell me that the governor will have to probably propose a budget that's $1 billion less than it is today. Of course, there's a lot of ARPA money that's still out there being reappropriated and being spent. As long as you had it allocated, those projects will more than likely all go through. But if there's general revenue involved in some of those projects, it's highly likely that some of those projects are going to get looked at again. I know that in one instance, the interior of the Capitol was supposed to be renovated, and the price tag was about $600 million. They're now trying to figure out how do we get that to $300 million. I worked down there for 40 years, and I don't know how you're going to get it down to $300 million, but That's what they say they're trying to get it to. So good news and bad news on that. Spending less money. Again, if you're Republican, you don't want to spend a lot of money. If you're Democrat, you want to spend a lot of money. That's the stereotypic that we get, and I'm being a little facetious there, but because it seems like if there's money there, everybody wants to spend it. But we anticipate that will create some bringing together of issues, because having been an old budget guy, when you start cutting the budget, your first cut is higher education. Your second cut is social service programs. And of course, the federal government's doing a great job of that right now with all the programs ending. I guess at the 1st of November, there's not going to be any SNAP programs or any WIC programs until the federal government gets their act together and funds them. And then the second one you go through is nursing home reimbursements, and those are, it's kind of a list of things you go down through, and hopefully law enforcement is not one that gets cut. I do know that $20 million that went for security for the World Cup, $10 million of it is considered a one-time expenditure. The other $10 million is considered ongoing, which means I think they're going to use a lot of funding for the highway patrol out of that, would be my guess. It's just the insight that we have on that one. But we have 10 open Senate seats in the next election cycle of 34. 3 of those are Democrats, 7 of those are Republicans. Republicans candidates seats in those open seats, there's already multiple candidates. So we're looking at, kind of a free-for-all in the primaries next year for those. Some are state reps, some are not, some are self-funders. Again, we've talked to almost every one of them regardless of the extreme right or extreme left, we sit down with all of them and go through the issues that are important to us. And it's hard to figure out what kind of a Senate we're going to have in 27 and what kind of a functional Senate we're going to have in 26, simply because you've got a lot of people that are checking out. They're not running again because of term limits, or they're not going for higher office. So keeping them motivated is part of our job and what we'll try to do. So with that, I'd answer any questions you have. There will be leadership changes in 27 as well. 26 is pretty well cut and dried. We're lucky to have Tony Luetkemeyer as our floor leader in the Senate. He's a local state senator and does a very good job of maneuvering through the troops. But again, Tony's term limited at the end of next year. So, and there's already, I think, 2 candidates at least trying to run for that office. There might be a third that I've heard a rumor about, but it's like whack-a-mole when it comes to the open seats. I mean, you just go in and you talk to them and you kind of lay it down on what you're doing and what your issues are, and they all know that we represent law enforcement, and so they're all gung-ho on law enforcement until they're not, and they most of them are. But anyway, that's the consensus of our report. We don't have any issues for next year yet. I talked to new Deputy Chief Ryan Mills yesterday about it, and we're still determining what the consensus on some of those issues are. So I'm sure you have some ideas of what you want to talk about on those as well. With that, I answer any questions.
Questions? Go ahead, Mayor.
Andy, first of all, thank you for your report. Always love catching up with you in Jefferson City and appreciate your work. Your report reminds me how delighted I am to serve in Kansas City rather than Jefferson City. It was interesting, enlightening, and a little frustrating. The first question that I think I have with you, there are 2 policy areas in which I've had some interest in serving on this board. One speaks to juvenile offenders and our treatment of them, particularly how our courts have handled them or not, frankly. The other is an old classic, tort reform.
Yeah.
Now, I know you've been in Jefferson City long enough to remember, I think, that early 2000s wave of tort reform that was looking to protect a number of folks, including public agencies and public bodies. The mayor of St. Louis and I actually had a chat on this on Saturday. First question is on tort reform, is there hope if we were looking for further protection for public agencies like the Board of Police Commissioners and others, that passing, if there were a good proposal for it, or are my good friends, and they vote like me, so I don't mind them, but my good friends in the plaintiff's lawyer bar a little too strong to keep that from happening?
That's a good question, because you would think that the way, and I'm going to be very cynical here. You would think that the way some of our friends down in Jefferson City wrap themselves around the blue, that anything that we needed to make things better for us, they would just jump on board. However, I would point you to the Bayer issue with Roundup. There were 9 Republican senators that stood up and said, no, we're not going to vote for a bill that exempts Roundup from class action suits or suits. For those of you who don't know, Roundup is a chemical you use to kill weeds in farming. All the farmers in the state of Missouri use Roundup, and they want that exemption. But the 9 Republicans stood up and said no, and there's at least 10 Democrats, so 19 is one more than you need to kill something. So that's kind of how I would answer it, is we can try, we can make a case. The trial bar is very strong in Jeff City, and the trial bar, a number of years ago, trial attorneys were like taboo, right? They've only supported Democrats, not so much anymore. They support both sides of the aisle pretty heavily, and full disclosure, my youngest just got accepted to the trial bar, and my dad was an attorney for 70 years. So it is what it is. I understand the frustration, totally understand it, and we can make a case for it.
Understood. And one day I have to make an honest living, so maybe I'll be one of them. So I guess I shouldn't say too much against it. But the other, and I don't have a bill I'm thinking of for you, and I know we always kind of think about it in terms of how we deal with things, but particularly the certification process for juvenile offenders has proven, I think, challenging in some ways. What we usually see here in Kansas City, I think our brothers and sisters in St. Louis the same. We do have a number of situations where officers arrest offenders, and by the way, I'm very sympathetic in making sure we can treat them in a number of ways. But even our advanced age juvenile offenders, 17 or so, et cetera, state law has allowed for certification decisions. That being said, the courts have largely still used that best interest of the child standard that you usually see in divorces and family law cases rather than criminal applications. Is that a conversation, a change there that comes up much in Jefferson City? I know ages have, and I think there was some work on that a few years ago. I'm almost less interested in ages than I am, can you actually get a certification decision on a 17-year-old, unfortunately, murderer, the types of which we see with more regularity than we would like in Kansas City?
Yeah, I think this was magnified a little bit last year, and then it dropped off the table real quick. But when you had the issue with the Chiefs Parade, and you had several juveniles apparently that were involved, a lot of attention was looked at. And I say a lot of things were looked at. One of the things is that the certification has to go through juvenile court. So you go to juvenile court first, and everything's closed, so nobody knows what's going on. And then if they decide, yes, this person should be certified, then you end up going to circuit court, and you're out of it. You would think that with the special circumstances laws that we have on using dangerous weapons and things like that, that you could carve something in there. And again, that's another thing that we can look at if that's what the board wants to do or the department needs to do, because I don't disagree with you. You get somebody that's 16, 17 years old, and somebody just says, oh, they just made a mistake. Well, yeah, they made a mistake and killed 4 people. I mean, yeah, it's a mistake, but should they be treated like a juvenile, or should they be treated, should be certified as an adult? And again, I don't have any problem talking about that. When people look at me and they say, you guys arrest them and you think they just should go to jail. That's what I usually get from the trial bar. And I'm like, no. There's part of me that says, yeah, that's probably right. But there's another part of me that says, no, you get your day in court. There's a due process that goes on here. So, but yeah, we can take a hard look at that if you'd like to.
I was just going to chime in real quick. I think as a whole, when you look at the juvenile justice system, it's a bit antiquated to, and not as robust as it needs to be to really make an impact on some of the juvenile issues and juvenile criminality that we're seeing here in Kansas, not just here in Kansas City. I talked to Chief Tracy in St. Louis. This is being, and it's not just a Missouri issue, just talking to other major cities chiefs. This is something else that they also experience. And I don't know if it's, some of it maybe been exacerbated by isolation during COVID with our kids, or maybe it's a generational situation. Either way, the systems that we have in place to address these issues with our juveniles are not as robust as they need to be. And that's why we get into these situations. I know this might be off topic from like certifications, but that's how we get there. And when KCPD has contact with juveniles, and we see the level of criminality that we're seeing, it's very concerning. And when we come in contact with juveniles with some of these levels of criminality, there's other systems failures by the time they get contact with us. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if we could catch juveniles earlier, we don't want to lock them away, throw away the key. But when you do see the level of criminality, it does justify certifications and
Right.
More of a heavier consequence.
Don't
I just want to
disagree.
just bring that to light since we're discussing that.
Andy, a question relating to that would be, we set up in our last discussion on liability the department and others face, that there is some real opposition, and I understand that from the trial bar, on the juvenile justice side, particularly as to how certification works.
Right.
Are there strong advocates against us being able to, we deal with murder defendants who happen to be, let's say, 17 or 16-year-olds, right, being certified to face trial in circuit court. Is there a strong strong advocacy group against it? Because I'd love to chat with.
Yeah, that's a hard one to answer because I'm old enough to know when you had real Republicans and you have libertarian Republicans, and it's let them do what they want. And I hate to keep bringing politics up, but it's what we deal with on a daily basis. It's just a different mindset. There are some that think that if you're under 17, you should be treated like a child. Your parents should be involved. Your parents should be the ones that get to determine what happens to you and how it happens to you. And the state should treat you like a kid. And as soon as you hit 18, that magic, veil lifts, and all of a sudden now you're an adult. And I don't see one strong advocacy for it as far as a group. There's usually groups that come in and speak, but as far as having a real hard voice in Jeff City, no. But it's just individual members look at it and they say, like, well, he was just fooling around, and now he's going to spend time, or he's going to have it on his record all his life. And obviously we don't want that. We don't. If it was an accident, or if it was just a prank of some kind. But again, to the chief's point, you got indoctrination going on in your major cities, and it's not good. It's 14, 15, probably even younger than that. So, I mean, again, I don't have any problem at all opening the conversation with other law enforcement agencies, the prosecutors, those different groups, as we meet with those guys almost not monthly, but every other month anyway. So,
Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Arnold. Mr. Chair, I may encourage us to continue those chats. I know both Chief Graves, Chief Tracy of St. Louis, mayors, others have interest in this. And the balance that I would suggest that we strike is exactly what Mr. Arnold noted. We still very much support due process. I think a process where, for example, look, the Jackson County prosecutor is able to handle those charges. They're still going to a circuit court judge. There are a lot of things to ensure that the hypothetical 17-year-old homicide defendant still faces, I think, a very fair justice system, and one where there are many steps where one may demonstrate empathy. That being said, yeah, the challenge we face now, you noted the secrecy of it, I think creates great concerns in the public. And then ultimately, the inability of us to have the deterrent aspect that we would want in criminal law. If everyone thinks that a 16 or 17-year-old involved in gunplay receives no real punishment whatsoever and no real accountability, I think that sends a message not just to our community, but to the many other 16 and 17-year-olds. And I think in our city, and Chief Graves is right, many other major American cities, it's just time for us to think about that. I think there's a way you can continue to have that empathy while also making sure we have accountability, as we do often for many of our adult offenders. So that's all I have on those two, and I'll just pray that the trial bar agrees. I'll find them many other ways to make lots of money, just not from all of us. But thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, Mr. Arnold, I would certainly follow the mayor's encouragement. And if there is room for those conversations to explore a juvenile justice system that hasn't been updated for some time and bring it up to contemporary standards. And I know other states have done this. And so looking at them perhaps for some indication or examples of what may work that Missouri could consider, I think we would want to be part of those conversations.
Agreed.
Very good. Yeah, go ahead.
Andy, thanks for being here. Love hearing from you as always. You know, are a lion there in Jeff City and both sides of the chambers, the House and the Senate, as far as knowing how to get things done. Strategic question, and I know this is your thoughts, and I know normally during an election year, there is a school of thought that says you don't get anything done, right?
Right.
But yet, there may be an opportunity with folks trying to run far right to go in a bit more aggressive on our agenda. What are your thoughts on, you know, on looking at the landscape now and seeing if we have an opportunity to, pairing with other cities, to go in with a more aggressive agenda? I know we got the omnibus bill this year, but what do you see as an opportunity for next session as far as, how can I say this, taking advantage of the folks, the reality that people are trying to run a certain way and position themselves, draping themselves in the blue, as you mentioned earlier? Do you think we might have an opportunity to be more aggressive a little bit in our advocacy agenda for the department? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think first of all, we have to drill down on the issue. We got to figure out what the major issue is, and then we have to do as much research as we can on it. You know, the mayor's comment and Mr. Whitaker's comment about other states have taken the initiative and done things like this, figure out what those other states are. So we can present a package. You find a really strong bill sponsor that may or may not be running in 26. And hopefully they're not running in 26. Or if they do want to run on a law enforcement platform in 26, then, you know, so be it. We'll load them up with the information and the deal. But yes, there is. I think it was also you have to get buy-in from the Sheriff's Association and the Major City Chiefs Association and the Highway Patrol is always helpful to get those things in there, and the governor, frankly. And the governor is I think he's a law enforcement, you know, law and order guy. I mean, I've known him since he was selling cars in Jeff City to when he was state senator to lieutenant governor to now governor, and he does not like to kick the can down the road. He is a let's solve the problem kind of guy, and kind of puts everybody on notice in that regard. So I think if we can drill this down to, you know, here's what we'd like to see, and maybe you tie it to a crime committed with one of the, you know, deadly weapon statutes. We got a statute that lists out all these, you know, guns, knives, chains, bats, all that kind of stuff, and those are enhanced crimes. I mean, maybe it's time to say if you use one of these things to commit a crime, even if you're under, and then the issue is going to be, well, if they're only 12 years old, or, you know, age will come into play, and we'll have to figure out, is there a cutoff on when that certification goes automatically to circuit court, or whether that stays in juvenile court. And that would be what I would propose, just say, look, if you're XYZ age, you commit a crime with one of these weapons, circuit judge determines whether you're certified or not a juvenile judge. The biggest issue there is going to be they want to keep the juveniles anonymous. They don't want that information about that juvenile out there that would taint that juvenile's future, and I fully respect that. But when you've been indoctrinated at age 14 to, go shoot a guy or gal or just commit a crime with a weapon, then maybe there needs to be a change. So yeah, that would be, I think we can be as aggressive as we want to be or try to be, and just see who bites, to be honest about it.
I agree. It could be a nice follow-up to the omnibus bill, kind of, second year in as the governor, a nice follow-up to that. So I think there's an opportunity there. So
I agree.
thank you, Andy.
Thank you. It was nice to have you here today.
Mr. Arnold, thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Morning, Chief.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm very well.
Good. Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Mayor. In recognition of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, I want Kansas Cityans to know we, KCPD, like I said in April, we're a lifeline. We're here to help end the cycle of domestic violence and hold abusers accountable, specifically as we've worked with Prosecutor Johnson, other prosecutors in the Northland, and also our municipal court. We're deeply entrenched in this work and will continue to put forth all the needed efforts to stop domestic violence in our city. We are thankful, and we also value all of our collective stakeholders who are all working towards safety for survival and accountability for abusers, those of which I just mentioned. Requests for KCPD police services continue to grow. Today, we have deployed even more resources to our downtown corridor, the Prospect Corridor, and pockets of South Patrol in need of extra patrol, while still maintaining police services in all parts of our city. We continue to see overall reductions in crime, double-digit reductions in robberies, non-fatal shootings, and motor vehicle thefts, just to name a few. Today, we have 5 less homicide victims compared to this time last year. That's 5 less, and I understand that each one, there's a name, there's a family. Last year, we saw a 20% decrease in homicides from 23 to 24. In the past week, our members have arrested homicide suspects, a bank robbery suspect, conducted a street racing and sideshow traffic enforcement operation, met with business owners, conducted extra patrol, rendered life-sustaining aid when responding to gun violence, arrested domestic violence abusers, provided outreach for those in need, and decommissioned homeless encampments where open-air drug abuse was occurring. Again, just to name a few. We have a dedicated workforce here at KCPD, and we need to continue on the positive momentum that we're seeing. Last week, I attended the Major City Chiefs Conference in Denver. I had the opportunity to speak to 2 chiefs of major cities where they are seeing a drastic decline in crime. Both police chiefs, who I talked to personally, both police chiefs attributed success in crime reductions to 2 key factors: consistency and longevity in implementation of a crime strategy, usually for over 10 years, and everyone, police, community, city leaders, businesses, working together and prioritizing safety. We have a crime strategy. We are working together. And we are beginning to see declines. Again, we need to continue with this momentum. And while we remain at a critical point in police staffing in our city, KCPD is still down about 200 officers. But we're making strides. And Deputy Chief Ortiz will talk about that, and the way that our class starting in January is shaping up to the positive. We need a staffed police department to ensure our city has the necessary public safety personnel for the safety and success of our residents, businesses, and the economic vitality of our city. Our city is attracting exciting events like we had this last month at the Memorial of Chaperone that require the vital need for an appropriate public safety response. In KCPD's recently submitted budget, as requested, will provide funding for 1,309 officers and 663 professional staff, including market-based compensation salary adjustment for sworn members. And just as a reminder, fully staffed, we should have over 1,400 police officers. And we plan to hit a milestone. I'm going to say this out loud. We are planning to hit a milestone by May of 2027 to be less than 100 officers down with more academy classes to follow. Are you sweating?
Yes, ma'am.
I wrote that down.
Additionally, the budget prioritizes investments in technology, equipment, infrastructure, from body-worn cameras and crime analysis software to patrol vehicles and protective equipment. These tools are critical to both efficiency and safety. Modernizing our systems and resources enhances operational effectiveness, supports transparency, and ensures that employees are properly equipped to meet the evolving needs of public safety. And just looking at, as the conversations that we've had before, we all know how expensive innovation and technology is, but that is what the bottom line expectation is in policing in America today. So I do understand we are entering into a very challenging budget year. We did make reductions in our budget during the process and prior to submitting. And you know I have a responsibility to submit a budget which represents a comprehensive assessment of the true cost required to operate a police department of our size and scope and expectations. And as I mentioned previously, the demand placed upon our organization continues to grow, and it's essential that our resources align with those expectations, and we continue to rise to the needs of our residents, businesses, and visitors. And our budget reflects more than financial requirements. It represents a strategic communication to our workforce and to the community we serve. By prioritizing police, people, operations, and technology, we're laying the foundation for sustained excellence and long-term organizational success, while also working with the city to manage budgetary constraints. Some of you may have heard these words before when I submitted the budget, but I just wanted to reiterate that again and make sure that some of the members that may be viewing this meeting today also hear those words and the commitment from me in my seat to this organization and the people we serve. And I'm thankful for, and I respect the city manager and city leadership who are navigating a challenging budget season. And I look forward to working together within the budgetary constraints while also prioritizing public safety, which is a priority we all have in common.
Thank you, Chief. Comments or reaction?
Thank you, Chief.
Chief Niemeyer.
Good morning. The information for the Investigations Bureau is under tab A in your books. Before we start on the presentation, though, I'd like to say congratulations to Detective Steinke, if he's still here. He was in my 94th entrant officer class, so that's another one of my classmates that is going to be retiring. So that leaves myself and Officer Pat Bird. So there's not many of us left from the 94th. So I just want to say congratulations to him and good luck. Before we get started on the report, today I've asked Captain Jeff Weiler and Sergeant Updegrove to give a small presentation on the Fusion Center. It's going to be important to know, especially with all the big events, whether it's last night's Monday Night Football game, whether it's an event at Union Station, upcoming FIFA World Cup, and all the major events in the city. It's important that we have this group. I believe some of you have visited the Fusion Center, and this hasn't really been announced publicly, but Sergeant Updegrove is probably going to change positions in the not too far future. He will still be with our department, but he may be going to another location. So I wanted to have him at the board meeting and present one more time about all the work that they've done and all the good work he has done. So Captain Weiler.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I would like to provide a general overview of the Fusion Center itself, and then the Deputy Director, Andy Updegrove, I'm going to ask him to provide more of a day-to-day operations and how we are integrating with FIFA as it comes online here this time next year, or next year. So the purpose of a Fusion Center is to facilitate the sharing of Homeland Security and crime-related information between federal, state, local, tribal, and territorial partners, as well as the private sector. We take in, analyze, produce, and disseminate actionable intelligence in support of crimes, hazards, as well as terrorism prevention. The Fusion Center, our Fusion Center, is one of approximately 80 across the nation. The National Fusion Center was born post 9/11 to create a more comprehensive information sharing between state, local, and federal partners. The state of Missouri has 3 fusion centers, us, St. Louis, as well as the MIAC down in Jeff City, the Missouri Information Analysis Center. We communicate very closely with our state of Missouri partners as well as the nation. Kansas City is designated as a major urban area, which makes the metro area eligible for Urban Area Security Initiative funding, the UASI funding, from the Department of Homeland Security. This year, that UASI award for the area was just shy of $4.2 million. The work done by the Kansas City Regional Fusion Center satisfies a lot of the law enforcement requirements of that grant, which factors into the amount of funds that are awarded to the metro area from the UASI as well as the State Homeland Security Grant Program. The KCPD itself is a benefactor of a lot of grant money, that grant money, which pays for equipment and training for members of our department. The Kansas City Fusion Center covers 2 states, 9 counties between those 2 states, and approximately 119 municipalities. I'm going to introduce, this is Andy Updegrove. He is a deputy director. He handles the day-to-day operations. He's going to give just a short synopsis of what they do on a day-to-day basis, as well as what we are doing related to FIFA next year. Andy?
I appreciate it. Opportunity to talk to everybody today. So one of our main aspects that we're dealing with at the Fusion Center is to combat domestic and international terrorism. We sit with the Joint Terrorism Task Force over at the FBI, coordinate with them to make sure that we're keeping the homeland as safe as possible. We're going to try and protect critical infrastructure and key resources. And then on the KCPD side, we also assist with mitigating threats of school violence, workplace violence, and any violence that could involve a mass casualty. One of the things that we do like to say is within that, it's kind of hard to quantify how many things we're really doing. Because if we get notified of a school threat and we send officers, FBI, any of our federal partners to those houses to mitigate that prior to it happening, it's hard to say, yes, we did mitigate it, but we are doing our best to make contact with anybody prior to any of those things happening. Within that, this is our local personnel. These are the agencies that help assist us in the Kansas City Metro, Overland Park Police Department, the Mid-America Regional Council, Kansas Police Department, Olathe Fire Department, and then we do work with countless federal partners as well, but I just wanted to highlight the local ones there because we do cover, we're unique and we cover 2 states, like the captain said, so probably not a lot of other entities within the police department that are covering the same area that we are. Related to FIFA and the World Cup, obviously our focus area is going to be intelligence. The World Cup designated a lot of focus areas, so ours is going to be intelligence. We will get the daily briefings at the Fusion Center via the National Fusion Center Association Teams channel. So the NFCA Teams channel will get these briefings. Those briefings will be both nationally and locally. We will then get that information, and then we will share relevant information to all of our partners. Within that, we will also be part of the Regional Command Center, or the RCC, to again share information. So I'm going to go over the 3 platforms that will be sharing information. One of them, first and foremost, is going to be what we decided was we wanted all of our partners to utilize a system that they were familiar with, they were comfortable with, because we want as much information being shared as possible. Our emergency managers are comfortable with WebEOC. A lot of our other partners are going to be comfortable with the HISN Situation Room. HISN is the Homeland Security Information Network. They have a situation room. This particular platform is going to be open to any partner in the region that wants to be part of the conversation. That can include law enforcement, public-private partners, fire EMS, public health, hospitals. Anybody that wants information, we're going to put them in there. This is a CJIS compliant platform. However, in this particular instance, we are going to refrain from using criminal justice information, PII, things of that nature, so everybody can be part of it. If you're in a law enforcement sensitive room, you can share those things. But if we want to add all of our partners to get real-time intelligence, we just have to keep the CJIS information and the PII out. So within there, we could say, hey, we're looking for, a white male in a blue suit with a red tie. You can share that in that platform, whereas on the law enforcement side, they could say, hey, we're looking for, Andy Updegrove. Here's his social security number. Here's his birth date. Here's his driver's license photo, things of that nature, which I kind of went over here. On the law enforcement side, we're going to use the Virtual Command Center, also known as a VCC. These are going to be shared for all of our law enforcement partners, federal, state, local. This, again, is also a CJIS compliant platform, which I just kind of mentioned. This platform is accessed through MULES, the Missouri Law Enforcement System, and then it is actually housed by the FBI. So the FBI has designated some personnel to help us. We have some training documents that we sent out. A lot of our own personnel are getting into that. We currently started using the VCC also for some special event stuff. And then the cooperation. So as we talked about just a minute ago, we've secured a site for law enforcement and analysts to come and facilitate the information sharing and support. This participation will augment public safety, while these analysts and detectives will be able to support their home agencies. So what we're hoping is they'll have people that'll just come sit with us, and then we will then share the information. As you can see, we've currently had interest from Independence, Lawrence, Raytown, Lenexa, Shawnee, Merriam, KCK, Kansas Bureau of Investigation, Overland Park, KU, and Riverside. That's just to name a few. One of the other aspects in the Fusion Center, we assist with cybersecurity. Cyber is another concern related to intelligence and FIFA. So CISA, which is the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which is a DHS component, Missouri Department of Public Safety, and Missouri Highway Patrol have all designated staff to assist with FIFA. These personnel are currently working with numerous agencies to help secure their critical infrastructure, the private-public sectors, partners, and what they're trying to do is to just go and give these people assessments and say, hey, we think you need to do this or secure your site this way, or have you thought about this? They're just giving them recommendations on how to keep themselves more secure. The NFCA, again, the National Fusion Center Association, has set up a cyber-specific team. They will share cyber intelligence. They will have a cyber intelligence network, which is a SIN room. They will also be using a HISM platform to share the information, and then the Center for Internet Security. They're going to be having analysts help out. They helped out with the Club World Cup for FIFA, and then additionally they helped with the Democratic National Convention last year. They send out a lot of very good documents related to cyber. We have a cybersecurity analyst who's a contractor at the Fusion Center. That's a grant-funded position that recently came about. He's going to be working to help on that end. And then lastly, just coordinating with the Mid-America Regional Council and their cybersecurity subcommittee. We sit on that as well. So those people are out there also helping keep a lot of the private public sector partners. Sometimes these alphabet agencies, as we like to call them, don't have time to go to some of the smaller mom and pop shops, whereas some of these people in these cyber committees do. They're working on getting some stuff together to hand out just to educate those people on keeping their stuff secure as well. So I know I went over a lot of information in a small amount of time there, but if you have any questions for Captain Weiler or I, feel free to ask away.
So big picture, are we still in the planning stages, or are these efforts starting now? You're 7-8 months out from World Cup, or when does it really start to become a daily protocol for us?
So we're getting the weekly FIFA updates already, and then we're sharing those as we see fit. Those weekly updates currently are more on the national picture, so they're not necessarily relating back to Kansas City as a whole quite yet. The coordination with all these agencies is ongoing and getting the site secured where they're going to be. So I think the progression is ongoing. We wanted to take steps early on because we didn't want to be behind the gun and information sharing. The longer you wait, the more you're behind. So we wanted to start it early, get everything set up. Like you saw those people that we've already had contact with. So once the time comes to share information, we already have that. The Fusion Center already has contact with most of these local agencies and a lot of federal agencies based on just what we're doing, but the work is already starting and will continue to progress as we get more information. Yeah. I think after December 5th, when the draw comes and we know what teams will be here, there will be a lot more information to come out. We get a lot of the geopolitical side and things of that nature once the draw is complete.
Question. Sergeant Updegrove, thank you for sharing that, Captain Weiler. Sergeant Martinez, I believe, are her efforts, I understand she's providing phenomenal leadership on pulling together public safety across the area. Is she a part of your team, or how?
Yeah.
Are her activities fitting in with what you're describing at the Fusion Center?
So Major Martinez has the overarching aspect of all focus areas, and then she is delegating each focus area to that specific entity, I guess. So because we're in the intelligence cycle at KCPD, that's how we got plugged in with the intelligence world. I think she is definitely plugged in. She's going to be in the NFCA Teams channel. She'll be at the Regional Command Center, along with probably numerous other of our colonels, and just coordinating through there. But she definitely is part of our RCC. She leads the Intel Committee that we have meetings with Mark and the other intelligence aspects within the region as well.
Thank you. I want to commend Major Martinez. I've heard nothing but great things about her phenomenal leadership in this space, and thank goodness we have her and everyone on the force, on the team. So thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much. It's been a while since some of us have been down to see everything that goes on in the Fusion Center, so it's really welcome to get this deep dive on the planning for a World Cup. So thank you very much for that.
Okay, we'll start with the blue sheet. In 2025, we've had 124 homicides compared to 129 homicides in 2024, as the chief mentioned earlier. In 2025, we have cleared 65 homicides, 26 homicides from the previous year, for a total of 91 cases, which is a 73% clearance rate. In September, we had 12 homicides. To break that down by division, Center Patrol had 1, Metro had 0, East Patrol had 7, North Patrol had 0, South Patrol had 4, and Shoal Creek had 0. And I'd like to turn your attention to the month of October, which we are almost finished with. We have had 4 homicides for the month of October. Now the non-shooting comparison report, which is from January the 1st to October the 26th of 2025. We have had a total of 343 non-fatal shooting victims. That's compared to 506 that we had in 2024. We are down 32% from last year. In September so far, we had 28 non-fatal shootings compared to 61 non-fatal shootings, which is down 54% for the month of September. And I think you can see that so far in October, we've had a total of 23. Then I always like to give you some case updates, and this is going to be a little more lengthy and the chief has already touched on some of these because of the things that have occurred this past month. So for case updates, I'd just like you to say that this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Our domestic violence unit, our domestic violence sergeants and command staff have attended several events involving domestic violence, to include things that were held right here in this room with the city court. We also had all of our partners from all the local shelters held an event here. We've met with the state senator about possible legislation changes for next year. that she would like to see in regards to domestic violence cases. And these are just a few of the examples. It has been an ongoing, I know our command staff also went over and spoke with the city at their domestic violence event. So there's a lot of things that happened this month, and we participated in a lot of events. Also, as reported on the news, we had 4 bank robberies that occurred and 1 attempted bank robbery that occurred in a 24-hour span. A department-wide effort led to this arrest of the suspect and federal charges being done in 24 hours. I will tell you that the crime analysts were extremely important in identifying the car that was being used, that didn't have a license plate, but gave us a car description. And I want to explain really quick how this transpired. Was we had 2 bank robberies one afternoon, evening. The next morning, we had an attempted and then 2 additional bank robberies before noon. That car description was put out. It was a property crimes detective that observed the car that was out in center zone driving around. In turn, was able to get a hold of our SWAT team, who immediately was on scene and pinned that car and took that suspect in custody with evidence still inside. I think our media unit put some of that out on social media, some of the photographs. So that was a department-wide effort to take that bank robber down. Our internet crimes against children, they participated in an operation last week with the statewide Internet Crimes Against Children group. This is the first time this has ever occurred in the state of Missouri. It was an actual operation that went on. It was real time. I won't go into too many details about it, but you can imagine we made, the numbers are still coming, but upwards of 10 arrests of active people seeking out children. So I'd like to thank Brad Dumit for everything that he has done. All the detectives that work in that unit, that is a difficult unit to work in. And it was amazing to see that room. We had partners from all over the state, all the way from St. Louis, this direction, that came in to help with that. And it was an amazing operation to see. It was ran out of the Platte County Sheriff's Department, gave us space to run this. So thank you to them. And, it was, I would just say that there were kids that were saved last week. We also had 2 homicide cases that I wanted to speak to, and that was at 905 Jefferson and Choteau and Gardner. These were complete, what I would describe as whodunit. There was no, at the scene, there was no names, there was no description, no nothing. Outstanding work by Darren Lee, Stephanie Fagans, other crime analysts. These are the crime analysts that were sponsored by the Police Foundation a year ago that work with these homicide units. Darren Lee also was an intricate part of the bank robbery, identifying that car. And so those folks are funded by the Police Foundation and have been invaluable. Our lab personnel, 2 detectives were talking out at the lab when they were working on a different case. Ann Malott from the lab stepped forward and said, "I think I can get that video for you." We didn't believe we had video. Within a few hours, she had the video, identified our suspect from 905 Jefferson. The detectives made the arrest in conjunction with SWAT, FBI SWAT, and both of those cases were charged. That went from cases that had 0 to being charged within a week. So I want to thank everyone. It's not just the detectives, not just the supervisors, it's all of our department that works together to make this happen. So kudos to those folks. Also, in the last couple of weeks, North Kansas City Officer Daniel Vasquez's trial was a couple of weeks ago in Clay County. Some people don't know, but Daniel was an employee of ours at EPD, East Patrol Division, in the detention unit before becoming a North Kansas City police officer. Our department investigated his death, and a guilty conviction was obtained by the prosecutor's office. I wanted to express my personal thanks to Prosecutor Zach Thompson and all his team at Clay County. I also want to thank the members of the department who had to work this case. These are difficult cases to work. We had several people that had to testify during that trial. I talked to Prosecutor Thompson last night on the phone, and he asked me to thank the board and all of the members that worked on that case to bring it to a closure. Our robbery unit, we concentrated I'm going to back up a little bit. The chief talked about crime stats coming down, and this kind of goes into that. We concentrated on the robbery unit in 2024 and adding detectives to that unit. In 2024, the beginning of 2024, they had 5 detectives to investigate all the robberies in the city. We added detectives to them. We almost doubled their amount of detectives to 9, and as a result of adding that manpower and their hard work has proven that they can make an effect on crime too. As you hear me talk all the time, well, how can investigations affect crime? It's solving crime. It's putting people in jail that commit these violent crimes. As of October of 2024, we had 1,050 robberies. As of October the 15th of 2025, we had 803. So we're down over almost 250 robberies in 1 year. These detectives are filing more cases and holding these people accountable. And just to conclude some case updates, I want to thank our assault squad. Last year, we had over 500 bullet to skins. I think the number was 506 is what I just reported. We knew we needed to add personnel to this unit. We had 2 squads at the time. We ended up adding a sergeant and 6 detectives to add a 3rd assault squad. From January 26, when this began in 2025, our assault squad to October 1st of 2025. Last year, we filed 189 cases. This year, we filed 318. Last year, we charged 66 in custody. This year, we've charged 116 in custody. Last year, we had 49 warrants. This year, we've had 59 warrants. These numbers are something the assault squad should be proud of. I'm extremely happy with these results. We were able to add these detectives, not only with the robbery unit that we talk about, but these assault squad detectives that we added. I have to thank Chief Maben and his staff for working with us back then. We were not having those big academy classes, if you remember, in 24 and 25, and we were struggling a little bit to get people. But with working with Deputy Chief Maben back then, when we'd have laterals come in, he'd be like, I got 2 laterals coming in. I'm like, can I please have 1? And worked with the chief. Now I say this, this is an example of what manpower can do. And as we look forward to continuing to add members and we recruit more members of KCPD with classes, this will hopefully add more members. And you can see the results when manpower goes up, the results that happen. It gives them time to work on cases instead of just responding to cases. And these results are proven in the numbers that are happening. And as you can see, the crime numbers, as the chief has mentioned already in her opening remarks, is our crime numbers are going down, and it makes a difference. So I will close with I want to say thank you to all my command staff, my majors, my captains, my supervisors, the detectives, the professional staff. You guys get to talk to my professional staff as well. It's a complete team effort in Investigations Bureau. I'm lucky enough to get here to report these numbers, but they're the ones that do the hard work every day, and I'm so proud of them. So with that, that concludes my report, and I will take any questions.
Go ahead.
Not a question, but thank you for your report. I just want to hear what I'm hearing in all these different reports, and I know you guys are still yet to report, but it's nice to hear that constantly this department and this department, this team and this team, we all work together. It's not your team against your team and you're trying to fight for whatever. And you're doing the work and sharing the effort, but also doing it together. And I think that's something that sets Kansas City Police Department apart and shows what a great team we have of officers being able to work together, whether it's the crime lab and the helicopter unit or the officers in any department. You're working really well together and sharing the work so that the successes can happen to keep people safe in Kansas City. And that's really what it's all about, is keeping having us have a safe city. So thank you, and thank you for the reports. I appreciate it.
Anything else?
I'll just make a comment. Deputy Chief, once again, impressive numbers. And to the chief's point, every life matters, and we're not going to be happy until that homicide number 0. But a 5-year trend rate in going in the right direction is certainly a great sign. So thank you.
Excellent report. Thank you. Deputy Chief Maben, turn it over to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Generally, I begin with the notable events. However, this month I've asked Captain Matt Young from SWAT to provide a brief overview of his unit, some of their capabilities, training, and equipment.
Good morning. My name is Matt Young. I am currently assigned to SWAT Team 2. Other than about a 6-month hiatus in investigations, I've been assigned there since January of 2020. I really appreciate the opportunity to stand up here today and talk about a unit that I care very deeply about. I thought I'd start off with just a brief history of KCPD tactical response teams. The first tactical teams at KCPD were created in 1966, which was really in line with the rest of the country in realizing a need for a special team of highly trained officers to be called in for extremely dangerous situations. We started out with 3 teams. They were assigned to Metro, Center, and East. And due to some inconsistency among how the teams operate and how they were utilized by the different chains of command, they were centralized into one unit in 2012, and that's how we still are today. This is our organizational chart. We are assigned to the Special Operations Division under Major Tim Hernandez. We have an operations sergeant, a training sergeant, and we have 3 teams. Each team has a captain, 2 sergeants, and 12 officers, and those teams are divided into 2 squads. We have a ton of roles and responsibilities. They are assigned to each team on a given week, and then they rotate every week. So just to give you an example of that, Team 1 would be our on-call team. They handle Operation 100s, which are any armed barricaded subject with or without hostages. We typically handle about 30 to 50 of these a year. Negotiator responses, this is where we might respond out on an individual that's in crisis and maybe a threat to themselves. We handle search warrants for every investigative division. We are the quick reaction team at Overwatch for large-scale events. This can be parades or like a large concert. We're part of the Street Racer Project. We handle dignitary protection when they come into town. We're part of the Entertainment District Plan, and this team would be the first one to initially respond during any kind of civil unrest. So Team 2, we call this our SID team. They are really the enforcement arm for our Special Investigations and Violent Crime Division, and they really work hand in hand with our detectives to arrest Kansas City's most violent offenders. They also handle any requests for arrests or enforcement from our federal partners or outside agencies. So Team 3, we call this our Flex Week. This is really that team's primary training week. This is a week that we really try to get them off on time and home on the weekends. During these other 2 weeks, they work very long days into the evenings, nights, weekends. We really try to give them kind of an emotional reset during this week. This is also the team that we use to train others. We are the subject matter experts for our department for active shooter and civil unrest for our entire department. So we put everybody through that training during in-service every year. And we've also designed some building clearing training and some firearms training that we host for officers around the department. And this team will also help fill in with the other 2 teams if we need some extra help. Some other duties that we all split, we handle funeral duties, pallbearer, honor guard, and firing detail for that. We also do static displays for different events. This is where we'll bring out armor and equipment and set it all out, maybe at a community event, and let people climb around in the armor, try on our vests, our helmets. It's really a great opportunity to build relationships. And then we also handle active shooter training for outside schools and businesses, where we will respond out and put on a presentation and then answer any questions that organization may have about their own active shooter plan. We are part of the National Tactical Officers Association. The NTOA is a national nonprofit organization dedicated to enhancing performance and professional status of law enforcement tactical teams by providing proven training, developing tactics, and standardizing best practices across the country. I obviously did not write that. That is from their website. But just in a nutshell, it's a national umbrella that really helps develop guidelines and best practices for tactical agencies across the country. They offer lots of virtual and in-person training all over. They also do an annual conference that kind of brings all that training together. Twice in the last 5 years, Kansas City has been the host for that, which has been an excellent opportunity to send a lot of our members through at a low cost. So every few years, they publish a document called the Tactical Response and Operations Standards for Law Enforcement. This covers really all topics related to tactical teams, including training standards, safety priorities, and capabilities and requirements that all the different levels of teams should have. So one of our goals was to become an NTOA Tier 1 SWAT team by 2026. This was really important to us. As I said before, in that manual, they list the tactical teams, and they are tiered based on their capabilities. We had 34 of the 36 capabilities in order to be a Tier 1 SWAT team. We were only missing a tactical medics program and a ropes program. I'm pleased to say that KCPD, ahead of schedule in World Cup, is now a Tier 1 SWAT team based on NTOA standards. The pictures on the left, you can see that is from our tactical medics program training. We currently have 2 EMTs and a paramedic that are actually KCPD department members, and we're working with the fire department long-term. They're going to supply those tactical medics to us so that we can make sure that program is sustainable long-term. And on the right, you see our ropes program. Those are our guys over the T-Mobile Center downtown. So our training standards are based on recommendations of the NTOA of a Tier 1 SWAT team. So new officers, when they come to SWAT, are required to complete over 90 hours of training prior to deploying in any kind of tactical environment. All our current sergeant officers are required to attend nearly 340 hours of ongoing training each year. This includes 240 hours of additional skills-related training and 96 hours of additional firearms training. And this is the absolute minimum. Many of our guys do much, much more. Officers who have a specialty skill, like being a sniper or breacher or now a rappel master with our new ropes program, will complete an additional 96 hours per discipline each year. In addition, officers are required to qualify on all weapon systems at a score of 90% or better 4 times a year and complete a physical fitness test 2 times a year, which again are also based off standards established by the NTOA. And to give you an example, last year our unit completed over 11,000 hours of training. Just to give you a visual of some of what I'm talking about, pictures 1 and 2, that's some training from one of our outside instructors that we brought in. We always love to bring people in if we can. It's a little bit cheaper for us. We can put more people through rather than sending guys to another city to go through that training. Picture number 3 is some joint training we recently did with the FBI on a World Cup-based scenario. Picture 4 is one of our snipers doing some elevated work at our Regional Police Academy, and pictures 5 and 6 are us integrating K-9 with our tactics, which is something that we're doing more and more. So with any tactical operation, the goal is obviously peaceful resolution through negotiation and de-escalation. However, we have to train and be ready to move in and save lives at a moment's notice. So I wanted to give you a glimpse of kind of what that looks like when we do have to make that decision. You probably recognize this. This is the old KCI terminal before it was torn down. So this is hostage rescue drills, officer making entry, and they usually have very limited information before they make entry, and their job is to go in and solve the problem. Obviously, though, a critical incident like this can happen anywhere, not just a building or a house. It can also happen in something similar like a bus. This is doing some linear vehicle training. This could be a bus, streetcar, plane, or train. I'll give you an idea of kind of what that looks like. Again, these are all hostage rescue drills. And also, it's not uncommon for us to have Operation 100s on vehicles. Many times this can be something simple as an armed occupant refusing to exit or a domestic violence situation that may turn into some kind of felonious restraint. And lastly, what I wanted to show you, this is our officers doing a tactical vehicle intervention up at the academy. Otherwise known as a TVI. This is something that we respond to help put an end to vehicle pursuit safely. So moving on to some of our equipment, we have 2 pieces of armor. We have the Bear and the Bearcat. The Bear is an armored rescue vehicle which can hold about 8 to 10 fully outfitted SWAT officers. This truck is generally staged directly in front of our target structure, and we usually have 2 negotiators in the entry team in that vehicle. And then we have a Bearcat, which is a little bit smaller and more maneuverable, making it a little bit more effective in evacuating innocent persons. This is our current command post bus. This is where we sit our tactical command and crisis negotiation team. They sit together in this bus, which is vital so they can pass real-time information back and forth that may be critical to our success. These are a couple of our robots. The one on the left is called our I-Core robot. It's a robot that we can deploy into a structure, and it's great to be able to send technology first before we ever send any officers in. This robot can go up and down stairs, open doors, and it can assist in negotiations by delivering water, food, first aid, and even a negotiator's cell phone, which is something we use it for quite a bit. And the robot on the right is very similar. It's got a longer arm and can be used to open a car door a little bit easier. These are a couple of our drones. These are designed for tactical teams. They can fly in and give us a layout of any structure and provide a possible location of any victims or suspects. What's really neat about them is we can put a little attachment on there and we can fly it up and actually break a window with the attachment and then fly the drone in through that window. It can also deliver a small payload like cigarettes or a cell phone, and it has the ability for 2-way communication, so we can literally fly and land and start communicating that way. So this is another piece of equipment designed by Brink. This is actually a cell phone that is virtually indestructible. It can be thrown through a window or a long distance. The great thing about this is we can call this like a cell phone, but nobody has to actually answer it. Once we call this, we can immediately begin that two-way dialogue. Speaking about it being indestructible, Brink actually used us in one of their advertisements, where are the pictures on either side. We had an operation with a subject on the roof of a 7-story building. We got called there because he was throwing cinder blocks and other large things off. We tried to deploy this to begin negotiations, and this got thrown off as well. The Brink ball survived and still works. Our windshield, not so much. Moving on to breaching capabilities. So failing to breach or gain access to an area of need is simply not an option for us. We have to have numerous breaching options for any given scenario. These pictures are obviously not KCPD, but I want to kind of give you a visual of what I'm talking about. So for years, our primary breaching option was using the ram, like the officer in the picture there on the left. We've really tried to get away from that and move on to safer options. We have an arm that we can attach to our Bearcat, just like the Bearcat on the right, and we can simply pull that up and pop open the door. However, that doesn't always work. Sometimes there's barriers in the way, like vehicles or a large patio or stairs. So we have other tools as well. The picture on the left is a hydraulic breaching tool. It's utilized to defeat any type of door during a search warrant or active shooter response or hostage rescue operation. The great thing about this is once it's set, we can do this remotely, so we do not have to be standing by the door when it's operated. And we also have numerous other tools like these saws for specific situations, so we can meet the demands of any scenario and reach a victim or hostage quickly as possible. Lastly, I'll talk about some of our explosive breaching capabilities. So we do have explosive breaching program. It is a technique which uses a very small amount of explosive to create an opening in a door, wall, window, or other obstacle during a high-risk operation. The great thing about it is it allows for immediate access to a target area through a variety of heavy barriers, and it really reduces the time that a suspect has to react. This can be crucial in time-sensitive situations like hostage rescue or active shooters. And I had a little video of during one of our training. This is a house that was getting ready to be demolished, and the owner was nice enough to let us use it. This is from our bare windshield. So you can see it's very quick, very precise, and it would give us immediate access to that area. So lastly, I just want to talk about a couple new pieces of equipment that we're about to be getting. Thanks to the Police Foundation of Kansas City, we're about to get a new Bearcat. It is badly needed. Our current Bearcat is 20 years old and is constantly breaking down. This is something we cannot wait to have. We should, according to Lenco, have it by the end of January of 26. And we're also getting a brand new command post bus. This is something I'm extremely excited about. Myself and Captain Sean Campbell had the opportunity to go to IACP last week in Denver and show it off, and I can assure you that we are the envy of many departments around the country and even internationally as well. Just to give you a sneak peek of what it looks like inside, it is big, it is beautiful, and we cannot wait to have it. We should have it within, hopefully, the next 5 or 6 weeks. They had to finish up just a few more things for us. So with that, any questions?
That's a lot of material.
I was told to make it quick.
Yeah, well, you did. Maybe just take a minute. You talked about the training. What's the career path or the prerequisites in order to be considered to go on to SWAT?
So we do, we've worked really hard on recruiting younger officers. They have to do their 3 years in patrol before they can put in. But we now offer some classes that, based on some training that we've received. We do a 3-day close quarter training class twice a year. We also do vehicle assault training and tactical pistol and tactical rifle courses. And we encourage those officers to come in and put in for that so they can see exactly what we do. And as I said previously, that's the exact same course we put our new SWAT officers through. So it gives them a really great opportunity to come out and get interested and see what we do.
It also prepares them for the process when they put in
Yes,
for,
absolutely.
because there's, like he said before, you have to score a certain 90 minimum on your firearms qualifications, and then also physical requirements.
100%, yes, ma'am.
Phenomenal. Captain Young, refresh my memory on those numbers. We have the 3 SWAT teams, your SWAT 2.
Yes, ma'am.
You provided the structure earlier, but refresh my memory on the
Yes,
numbers.
ma'am. So we have 3 SWAT teams. They're all under one chain of command. Each team has a captain, and each team also has 2 sergeants and 12 officers, and those are broken up into squads. We have 6 squads of 6 officers and 6 sergeants.
Fully staffed currently?
Mostly, yes.
Mostly?
Yes.
Okay, phenomenal work, great
Thank you.
report.
Yes.
Lots of great information. Thank you.
Thank you.
We actually had to cut his presentation down. It had been 30 minutes had he. Excellent presentation. I think he was more nervous now than running into a hail of gunfire. But, yeah, excellent. Good job, Matt. So, real quick, before I go with the Community Engagement Division updates, I want to touch on a training opportunity that Matt briefly mentioned. On September 16 and 17, FBI, Overland Park Police Department, KCPD SWAT, and Barman Arson, as well as our crisis negotiators, participated in a training exercise in Overland Park. The event involved a simulated terrorist attack involving multiple role players as suspects and hostages. It was an excellent training opportunity, and we're able to apply these lessons as we continue to plan for large-scale events, including the World Cup. I personally want to thank Steve Cyrus. He's the special agent in charge of FBI KC, and Overland Park Police Chief Doreen Jokers for including us in the training exercise. So moving on to Community Engagement Division. The community interaction officers attended a total of 82 neighborhood, community, and problem-solving meetings during the reporting period. They also assisted in decommissioning 8 homeless camps. Police Athletic League had 1,146 visits during the month, with an average of 60 visits each day, and a total of 15 new enrollments. The PAL Board hosted its annual golf tournament, which raised over $93,000 for the program. The social service specialists completed 111 referrals during the reporting period. They also completed 6 risk for retaliation interventions. One notable case they assisted with involved a resident in Metro Patrol Division, where the police had been dispatched on numerous calls for service. The calls primarily involved conflicts between a young boy and his mother. Social services met with the family to create a safety plan and then recommended the family tour the PAL Center. After the tour, the mother enrolled the boy into the program, and CED continues to provide support and services for the family. The remainder of the notable events are included in your board book. In the interest of time, I'll move on to the response time reports. The median response time for priority 1 calls was 8 minutes and 56 seconds. That's a 1-second decrease compared to August, and the same response time as September 2024. This is notable because for the past 2 years, we've seen an increase in September compared to August. The median response time for priority 2 calls was 11 minutes and 31 seconds, a 15-second increase compared to August, and a 33-second decrease compared to September 2024. Traffic Division. There were 1,580 traffic accidents citywide in September 2025. That's a 2% increase compared to the previous month and a 7% increase compared to September 2024. From January 1 to September 30, there were a total of 13,462 crashes citywide. That's about a 2% increase compared to the same period last year. There were 47 fatal crashes through the end of September, with a total of 50 victims. In 2024, there were 63 fatal crashes with 71 victims during the same time period. This is a 25% decrease in the number of fatal crashes and a 30% decrease in the number of victims. The department issued a total of 5,207 traffic tickets during the rating period, about a 7% decrease compared to August. A contributing factor in that decrease was because the traffic enforcement unit was busy conducting Wheel School. Wheel School is a 12-day skill development course for police officers who hold a valid motorcycle license. It's one of the most demanding training courses that we offer on the department, and it's a prerequisite for assignment as a motorcycle officer. Even experienced motorcycle riders find the school challenging. 7 KCPD officers graduated the school and 1 officer from an outside agency. The Traffic Division also conducted several enforcement operations during the month. September 12, they worked a school zone enforcement project at various locations throughout the city. They made 69 traffic stops and issued 98 citations. They also issued 20 warnings for non-moving violations. And on September 27, they conducted a multi-agency sideshow enforcement operations. Officers responded to 4 reported sideshows during the operation. They disrupted one of those shows, and the 3 other ones were determined to be unfounded. They also monitored several groups of motorcycles. In total, they conducted 17 traffic stops, issued 6 moving violations and 4 non-moving violations, while 7 vehicles refused to stop for officers. And I asked Major Asper about these numbers because they were a little lower than a previous operations, and he just said that there weren't as many cars and motorcycles and ATVs out in the streets. So we're starting to really see an impact from our repeated enforcement operations. And finally, on September 30th, traffic conducted a targeted seatbelt enforcement operation in the areas of Vivian and North Oak and 63rd and Prospect. They strategically placed officers in locations where they could spot drivers and passengers not wearing seatbelts. Takedown officers then stopped the vehicles for the violations. In total, officers conducted 246 traffic stops and issued 253 seatbelt citations or warnings. They also issued 119 citations or warnings for other violations. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great results.
Thank you.
We don't mind seeing fewer vehicles on the sideshow enforcements. It shows
Exactly.
progress. Anything else? Deputy Chief Ortiz, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, sir. After drying off my sweating, I'll cover 3 key areas today: workforce development, recruitment efforts, and crime laboratory performance. First, workforce development. As of September 30th, the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department employs 1,127 law enforcement officers. At that time, we had 70 police officer candidates in the academy, bringing our total to 1,197 members. We're also processing 19 lateral officers and employ 539 professional staff members. Additionally, we have 30 police officer candidates with pending job offers for the upcoming 187th Academy class, scheduled to begin January 26, 2026. In our communications unit, we have 5 pending job offers and 2 confirmed hire call takers scheduled to begin training on November 10th. Now let's move on to our recruitment efforts. We have 2 upcoming academy testing dates listed on your screen. On October 16th, 31 candidates successfully completed the physical agility test and are now advancing in the hiring process. Our recruitment team continues to be proactive and innovative. Beyond the traditional outreach at high schools, vocational schools, colleges, and universities, our team continues to think outside the box. Recently, we hosted an outstanding college and career day that welcomed approximately 175 students from 10 different schools. Students had the opportunity to engage directly with officers, explore career path in law enforcement, as well as professional staff, and see why KCPD is a department worth joining. I want to thank our department members, council members, and board members who attended and supported this initiative. It made a lasting impression on our future workforce. Additionally, Officer Sutton Smith represented our department as a panelist at the National Association of Women in Construction Conference here in Kansas City. She spoke on navigating and excelling in traditionally male-dominated professions and highlighted KCPD's efforts to recruit, support, and empower women in policing. Now, switching gears to our academy personnel. Our defensive tactics units will host a family self-defense training seminar on Saturday, November 22nd from 9 a.m. to noon at our regional police academy. This session will focus on awareness, prevention, and practical self-defense skills in a safe, family-friendly environment. Physical participation is encouraged but not required, ensuring everyone can take part comfortably. Lastly, our crime laboratory continues to demonstrate consistent progress in reducing these case backlogs and maintaining high performance standards. In September alone, laboratory staff completed testing on 509 cases involving 3,623 items. They processed 86 crime scenes, tested 947 firearms-related items, and conducted 2 tours for 14 participants to increase transparency and community awareness of forensic operations. In conclusion, the Administration Bureau remains focused on 3 strategic priorities, and just as Chief Graves mentioned earlier, strengthening our workforce is our major goal, but also enhancing community engagement and promoting the well-being of our members. From welcoming new members to expanding training, each initiative supports a safer community and a stronger department. Thank you again for your support. That completes my presentation.
Any questions? Great. Thank you. Deputy Chief McCollum.
Good morning, Commissioners. All items for the Executive Services Bureau are located under Tab D of your board book. Item A, budget transfers for fiscal year 2025-26. I request that the following appropriations be transferred within the general fund and the police grants fund. The general fund transfer reallocates $1,358,638 from personal services and $741,362 from capital outlay in the amount of $1.5 million to contractual services and $600,000 to commodities for personnel matters and equipment purchases. The Police Grants Fund transfer reallocates $51,006 from contractual services to personal services. The Police Grants Fund transfer adjusts appropriations to where they are needed now compared to when they were estimated in the fall of 2024 as the budget was being put together. Unless you have any questions, I recommend approval.
Moved. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Item B, adjustment to special revenue accounts for fiscal year 2025-26. I request $1.5 million be appropriated from the unappropriated fund balance of the Liability Self-Retention Fund for personnel matters. Unless you have any questions, I recommend approval.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? If there's none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion passes.
Item C has been pulled from your book and will be resubmitted next month. Item D, equipment and training for SWAT. All members of KCPD's SWAT team need to be operationally ready to respond to weapons of mass destruction and clandestine lab incidents. To do so, they must receive the necessary equipment and training as current equipment is outdated and in need of replacement. The total cost to equip and train members of the SWAT team is $279,143.10. Unless you have any questions, I request your approval to purchase equipment and training for members of KCPD's SWAT team from ABM Supply. This purchase is 100% federally funded, grant funded, correction.
I move approval.
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Just a quick comment. I want to thank you all for syncing up the tactical response team presentation with that, because it gives us a better understanding of what those training requirements are and the need for grant funding to support it. So thank you for that.
Item E,
Let's
bank.
vote on
ple-
that just to make it official.
Sorry.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now you
All right.
proceed.
Thank you. Item E, bank pledge agreement form. The department holds collateral in the form of securities pledged to the Board of Police Commissioners at the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston. With the recent change to the structure of the board, the pledge agreement form needs to be updated. Unless you have any questions, I recommend approval of all resolutions in their various forms.
I move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed?
Item F, acceptance of donated night vision equipment. The ATF wishes to donate night vision equipment to KCPD. This equipment will enhance the operational capabilities of KCPD's SWAT team by supplementing their existing night vision technology. The value of this donation is $143,600. Unless you have any questions, I request your approval to accept this donation.
Move for approval.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? If none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes.
Item G, fiscal year 2025 COPS Safer Outcomes Grant Award. The department recently received notification of the fiscal year 25 Community-Oriented Policing Safer Outcomes Grant Award. The award is for $498,835 and provides funding to purchase virtual reality de-escalation and crisis response equipment and training for law enforcement officers. This award period is October 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2027, and is again 100% federally funded. This is the first year of this award, and it will require the city to establish an ordinance for upfront funding. Mayor Lucas has expressed interest in sponsoring the ordinance. Unless you have any questions, I recommend accepting the fiscal year 2025 Community-Oriented Policing Safer Outcomes Grant.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Thank you. Any discussion? You
Just
do have a
one
question.
One question. Does that also fall under TRT as well, or?
This will be all
All
department-wide, yes,
department-wide.
all officers.
Thank you.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Thank you.
Unless
Anything
you
else?
have- No, sir. Unless you have any questions, that concludes my portion.
Very good. Thank you. Deputy Chief Mills?
Good morning, Commissioners. There is one policy for your consideration under tab E in your books. This policy was amended as part of the normal review process and reflect the adopted provisions in the most recent collective bargaining agreement. Unless you have any questions, I would request your approval.
Maybe just one clarification. You and I spoke about just the last two paragraphs that talk about EX time. That is to make the change in the policy consistent with what was previously negotiated in the collective bargaining agreement.
Yes, sir, that is correct. This reflects the same wording and language that was agreed upon by the board and Lodge Number 99 in their most recent negotiations.
And I believe those two items were reflective of the changes that came about because of the 11-hour plan for patrol.
Yes, sir.
All right. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other questions or discussion? If none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Thank you. Mr. Weiner, good morning.
Good morning. I have one action item for you today, and it's under tab F in your board book. Dakota M. Beast has appealed the private officer licensing unit's denial of his application for an unarmed private security license. On September 9th, 2025, Beast resigned from the Lansing, Kansas Police Department, where he was under investigation. The regulations governing private officers, 17 CSR 10-2.05030, state that an applicant for a private security officer license who has resigned while under an investigation or threat of discharge from a law enforcement agency is ineligible for licensure. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, the private officer licensing unit recommends denying this appeal.
I move we uphold the denial.
Second.
Been a motion and a second to uphold the denial. Any questions or discussion on the motion? If not, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed?
Thank you, Commissioners. The remainder of my report will be in closed session.
OCC. Good morning.
Lazzacato. I work for the Office of Community Complaints. Director Bennigan, Senior Legal Analyst Karen Williams, and Legal Analyst Stephanie Hamilton are all attending the annual conference for the NACOL up in Minneapolis. So he is not here, so you have me. All the information that we have for you today is provided to you under tab G. I'm going to summarize the activities of the office so far this year. The office has received 294 complaints as the end of third quarter. This represents about an 8% increase over last year over the same time. Of the complaints that were received, 97 were sent to Internal Affairs to be investigated, and the remaining were classified as non-investigated complaints, or NICs. The complaints that were sent for investigations were in the following categories. 9 were considered bias-based policing, 7 discourtesy, 18 excessive use of force, 4 harassment, 2 improper member conduct, and 40 improper procedure. During this period, the Board of Police Commissioners and the Chief of Police reviewed and concurred with 107 recommendations rendered by OCC and investigated by Internal Affairs. Concurrence by the Board and the Chief of Police were on 17 exonerated recommendations, 17 non-sustained, and 6 sustained recommendations. The disposition of the remaining 67 Internal Affairs investigations are as follows. 40 were administratively closed by OCC. 26 were closed due to non-cooperation of the complainant, and 1 was withdrawn by the individual. The complaint was withdrawn. And just for information and a reminder for those that are present in our viewership, non-investigated complaints, NICs, are those that are administratively closed by OCC and they're not forwarded to Internal Affairs. This includes the complaints that are alternatively handled without an investigation. That includes like mediation and conciliations. It also includes OCCs that, or complaints that OCC has no jurisdiction over, matters that are readily determined to have no violation of policy or procedure, instances where pending litigation or criminal investigation or criminal proceedings that might be compromised by our intervention, complainant anonymity, complainants that have not been timely filed and they are past the 180 days time limit that is given to us, And then third is a third-party, the last one is third-party complaint, where an individual who files a complaint that has no direct contact or knowledge of what happened with a department member. So those are the kind of a good idea of what NICs are. During this period, we had 197 NICs that were received during this period. We had none that were classified as bias-based. We had 10 that were classified as discourtesy, 2 excessive use of force, 21 harassment, 17 improper member conduct, 102 improper procedure, and 45 that did not involve members of the police department. Dispositions of the NICs that were handled during this period, we had 110 that were administratively closed, 17 were closed due to non-cooperation of the complainant, 74 were resolved without investigation, and 2 were withdrawn by the complainant. This concludes our statistical report from OCC. Do you have any questions?
I think you said this number, but we're still seeing complaining parties using mediation to facilitate the resolution.
Yes, yes. Unfortunately, we don't have as many mediations as we'd like. We do. We have 3 ways of handling. 2 of the alternative is mediation and conciliation. Mediation is kind of it has to be agreeable on both parts. It has to be agreeable. It starts with the complainant, and they have to want to do it, but members also have to agree. Most of our alternatively handled complaints are done through conciliation. But yes, we still, matter of fact, I'm working on a mediation as we speak. So I keep trying to get the people coming face to face, so, yeah.
I would just note, I think you mentioned this also, of the 8% increase, 249 year-to-date, but 45 of those involved agencies outside of Kansas City.
Either agency or outside. We get complaints on barking dogs, snow removal, other agencies. I mean, we get complaints because our name is Office of Community Complaints, and they do. I do have an ask of the board and everybody here and anybody that's listening. If you have an organization or an entity that you feel would feel that we would do good coming and talking to them about what we do, they would like to learn about what we do, please let us know, because we're always looking for opportunities to reach out to the community. So I ask that of everybody that's watching and listening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments? Mr.
Yes.
Kenner?
Steve Young and Wynn Jameson from KC Leap.
Next, no. Hi, I'm Steve Young from the Kansas City Law Enforcement Accountability Project. So just bear with me. What I have to say is really important, and I just might go over a little. How many times do we have to stand here and talk about one cop? One cop who has terrorized our community with his gun and his fist and his badge. Blaine Newton is a menace to society. And honestly, it would almost be comical that he's still a cop if it wasn't so damn tragic. Month after month, we listen to KCPD stand here and talk about how they need community trust. They say we can't solve crimes without community trust. But how can we trust a department that refuses to fire Blaine Newton? Not after he shot and killed an unarmed man, Donnie Sanders. Not after he pressed his knee into the back of a nine-month pregnant black woman, Deja Stallings. Not after a $325,000 payout for tasing and repeatedly punching a teenager. Not after another $65,000 settlement for assault, battery, and false imprisonment. Not even after killing 2 more people and shooting another in the head. In this specific lawsuit, were clients of Casey Lee, and that was a $3.5 million lawsuit that was settled. When is enough enough? When do you stop asking the community for trust and start holding your own accountable? This isn't your money, it's our money, taxpayer money. Money that should be building schools, supporting families, feeding children, not paying for violence, corruption, and cover-ups. KCPD has no credibility among the people you claim to serve and protect. And the Board of Police Commissioners, you've shown no backbone, no courage, no willingness to do the right thing. The bare minimum, the absolute bare minimum, is to fire Blaine Newton. But the real challenge, the hard part, is to make sure there would never be another Blaine Newton again.
Can you step closer to the microphone?
Speaking for 2 people today. I am not speaking in any official capacity other than for myself and a young man by the name of Clay. I first met Ebony, though, standing outside her vehicle on 31st Street in the early morning hours of June 10th, when I saw a woman looking desperate for answers. Sorry. She'd heard that her brother and son had been involved in an incident but couldn't get word. After several phone calls, the Kansas City Law Enforcement Accountability Project regrettably confirmed that her beloved brother, Marcel, was indeed deceased. Her son, I believed at that time, was in the hospital, condition unknown. When we first formed our organization, we had no idea we'd be doing death notifications. I promise, though, we handled these with far more tact and empathy than KCPD or MHAP does, but that's another topic for another day. We've stood with Ebony and her family since that morning, just as we stand with her today. We would soon learn of a 3rd victim, Kristen, also deceased. Her son, Clay, could not be here today, so I will continue to be a voice for him. This is Kristen. When KCPD officer Blaine Newton recklessly unloaded his entire clip into a minivan full of people, not knowing who was inside, he took the life of a mom, friend, dog lover, provider, and innocent bystander, Christian Fairchild. Clay was only 19 years old when his mom was murdered, still figuring out life. Because they were renting month to month, days after the cremation of his mother, Clay became homeless and began a year-long journey of living in cars, garages, and worse, until we were able to get him housed with the help of a local agency. Over these past 2 years, we've watched Clay's mental and physical health deteriorate despite resources. Clay's mom was his whole world, and Blaine Newton, the killer cop that you allow to continue to terrorize our community, all but destroyed it. You allowed it. You, Chief Grays, this board, the former board, all of you are just as culpable for the last 3 murders and a half a dozen brutal assaults committed by Blaine Newton. You all have blood on your hands. I'm glad our org was able to assist these victims in obtaining counsel and that you all agreed to a measly $3.5 million settlement, but no amount of money can ever replace that young man's son.
Ebony Allman.
Good morning. My name is Ebony Allman. And I come before you not only as a mother, a sister, but a voice for my family and my community. On June 9th, 2023, my son was shot in the head by Kansas City officer Blaine Newton. In this tragic incident, my brother was shot 15 times and was killed. This was not just a statistic. These are lives. These were my family. These are wounds that my family carry every single day. The emotional impact of trauma is immeasurable. My son lives with physical and psychological scars each day. Our family lives in grief, confusion, and deep sense of betrayal. We trust our law enforcement would protect us, not devastate us. I am here today because I believe possibility of change. I believe the police should be able to build bridges of safety and community with trust. That bridge is broken. It must be rebuilt, not with words alone, but with accountability, transparency, and compassion. I ask you to consider the human cost of every decision, every policy, and every action. I ask you to see my son, see my brother, see my family, not as a case, but as a call to do better, make our department better. Thank you.
Doug Schaefer.
I'm Doug Schaefer, representative of the Community Christian Church on the board of Moore Squared. Let's review. It's April 1861. The Civil War has just begun, and Missouri's governor wants to protect and preserve slavery. He gets legislation that puts the St. Louis Police Department under state control. He plans to put the Armory into Confederate hands. The Union Army foiled that plan, but that law is the root of Missouri's authority to oversee police departments in its two cities with the largest black populations, 40% of blacks in this state. Perpetuating that racist structure is what you said yes to when the governor appointed you to this board. 3 years ago, not satisfied with taking 20% of Kansas City's budget, the state committed ballot fraud to deceive voters into escalating taxation without representation to 25% of our budget. And now you want a raise, while spending $10 million just this year on settlements for police misconduct. In the case of Cameron Lamb, his killer was convicted on trial, conviction upheld on appeal, and you kept him on the payroll after his conviction. You good people were appallingly silent when Governor Parson commuted his sentence last December, 1 year into a 6-year prison sentence. This year, you settled the civil lawsuit brought by Lamb's family for $4.1 million with the outrageous assertion of no fault or wrongdoing. What is it about the law that you refuse to understand? That sequence of events is a clear message to this department that you can get away with murdering a black man. Black lives don't matter. What about black ink? Assuming you were not appointed to this board for your political connection to the governor who commuted the sentence of the officer who killed Cameron Lamb, or to the governor who wants to make sure the colony of Kansas City is unrepresented in Congress, perhaps your business acumen was your credential. Imagine, for example, you were CEO of a large construction company that paid out $10 million in 1 year for accidents, construction defects, or discrimination. You would surely have trouble shopping for insurance. But here, you just ask for more taxes from the people that haven't yet held a tea party, hoping we will respect law and order more than you do. Where is your shame? Why haven't you acknowledged your disgrace and resigned? Why haven't you taken out second mortgages on your homes to cover the cost of the misdeeds under your watch? We, the people of Kansas City, can manage our police department without field bosses or overseers. Respect us by leaving us alone.
Ron Hunt.
Good afternoon. Good morning to the board president, to the board, chief, men and women in blue. You know, it's uncomfortable sometimes to sit up here and talk about racism, police brutality. It's uncomfortable for citizens. And yet, still, I have some faith in this police department that they can get better, and in the board. And what you do for the community in terms of with our children, with the POW program, TNT, you do some good things. And it's just so unfair that all the good works that you do, Nehemiah, solving homicides and stuff, all the good work that you do, you got to remember, friends and family, that a person got to ride with principles versus preference. Let me tell you the difference between the two. Preference, you look at situations, likes, dislikes, where principles, which all of us should have some sort of principle, stands on the Word of God. And when we're in authority, we got to be careful, Madeline, how we exercise that authority. Especially, all of us have authority over somebody. At least I thought I did in my house, but we all have authority over somebody. But when you misuse and abuse your authority, that tips the scale. And God is watching everything that we do, that in the midst of exercising authority, we must understand that we're not the author of that authority. There's only one author of authority, and that's the Supreme Being himself. So I plead with you, friends and family, to the board, to solve this problem. This is just one problem. The boy, city manager, he was fired. And he was an okay guy with me. I never worked with him, but he was fired for numerous things, but telling somebody to lie, Chris Hernandez. The board fired him. The city council people fired him. $1 million, they fired him. He's gone, and he was an okay guy to me. But we have a guy that what Steve just mentioned is true. That's how the people are feeling out here. I stand up here with you wearing a shirt that I got from Oakman. I wear it proud. Oakman's a good friend of mine. I support him. I support you guys. But I can't support wrong. I've lost a lot of friends standing on principles because I'm not gonna bend. And I'm telling you, the work that some of you guys, most of you guys doing here, when you have one apple, get rid of it. It's just easy as that. Get rid. What Stacy can't do, the board can do. What she can't do, the board can do. Get rid of it. Get rid of him because the whole community is painting this with a wide brush. A wide brush. What they're talking about is real. So I just pray, and Stacy, you're doing a good job, Chief. I back you. I back your department. But this one right here, I stand firmly on. Tom, I stand firmly on this. We've been talking about this all year long. The proof is there. Do the right thing. You all lay down at night. You all lay down at night. You go to church at night. And you know what's right and what's wrong. We know what's right and what's wrong. So let's do the right thing. We have a long ways to go. But nobody likes talking about racism. Nobody likes talking about police brutality. But let's remember that that authority was given to you, and it can be taken away. Thank you.
Rachel Thomas.
BOPC, you don't get to pretend like you didn't know about Blaine Newton. You've shelled out thousands of tax dollars to victims of Blaine Newton, and now millions of tax dollars to the victims of Blaine Newton. But it's not enough it won't undo the damage. Not when families mourn every day for their loved ones. Friday night protests have been out here for years outside KCPD, keeping the victims of KCPD alive, and the one too many of them at the hands of Blaine Newton. I have been here multiple times and said the victims' names of specifically Blaine Newton. Blaine Newton. Do you hear the name? Because I have been here for years and not one word, not one accountability has happened. Now I'm going to stand here and waste your time. This can be silence for the victims of Blaine Newton. Still silent.
That's all.
Thank you. We have two sets of minutes, September 23rd and the October 14th special budget meeting. Any changes or amendments to the minutes? No, we can take them up on one motion.
I move approval.
Second. Moved and seconded. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? None. Motion passes. David, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes. We have the renewal and addendum of Arnold and Associates contract. He has been working for us, I guess, since what, 1993. And from everything I've heard, he's done a tremendous job, and everything I've experienced with him has been just great. This would raise him from the last contract, which was in effect beginning in 18, from $51,000 to $54,000 per year. And so I recommend approval of the addendum to the agreement.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? If not, those in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed? Okay. Motion passes.
Next is under tab IB. This is Board Resolution 25-04 to raise the chief's spending authority from $125,000 to $250,000. This has been in effect since 2009, and I believe it's appropriate to give the chief greater authority on her own, and so I recommend approval.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
And seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye. Aye. And those opposed?
Those are all the issues I have. I did want to recognize that today is National First Responders Day, and I think everybody appreciates all the work you all do. Despite what everybody has said, I think by and large, it's a great department. There are always bad apples, and that's just something any large organization faces. I also want to wish everybody a happy and safe Halloween, which is coming up on Friday. So that's all I have.
Thank you, David. Commissioner Hall.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to say thank you for the great reports and the great teamwork. I know that some things, some days are better than others, but at the same time, everything that I've heard in my, I guess this is my third or fourth board meeting with you all. It's been trending on the positive on every single month we've been together. So I'm grateful to hear that and to see the progress that's being made, but also to continue to see the teamwork. That's not easy when you have almost 1,200 people working, because there's a lot of different personalities, and that means that we're working together despite our different personalities to do the greater good for the great amount of people here in Kansas City. So thank you very much.
Commissioner Boswell.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, Chief, two comments, but Chief, to you and your command staff, there's been conversation about building community bridges. Since the last meeting, I've had 3 or 4 friends that are also community leaders. Most recently, one of the leaders at Youth Ambassadors was talking about the appreciation with you and your leadership team reaching out in the community and participating with these youth to build those bridges. Secondly, building bridges in a different way. Commissioner Romius and I had the opportunity to attend with you and Deputy Chief Mills, Director Mark James of the Missouri Department of Public Safety talk at the Kansas City Chamber, and it was certainly good and enlightening to hear about the reputation that this department has in working with the state agencies, as well as his experience in working with this department with the various federal agencies and the teamwork that happens there. So thank you for that.
Good. Commissioner Romius.
A couple of comments. One I was thinking of earlier, and one that I just thought of with all of the public comment. I really want to thank you all, Chief and your team and the bureaus, for I learn a lot when you bring in and you highlight segments of your bureau, from the tactical response to the SWAT to the Fusion Center. I think it's extremely valuable for us, and I think it's also very valuable for the public who's listening to this. Second, it's not easy to sit here and hear some of the comment that we hear, but I will always encourage those who have comments and concerns to come and bring them before us. We are in a world in which one cannot always know what the other's doing, right? Of course, there's certain things that are going on and reasons why one doesn't understand why a decision is made or what's happening and why it's happening. But with that, we still need to have this public discourse in feeling that this department is the people's department, and it's our responsibility to protect the people. So while it's been a meeting of highs and lows, I think it was a good meeting, and I just want to thank you all for your time today. And really, comments that you made, Deputy Chief Niemeyer, and you all sit here and we have a great relationship, and your bureaus are phenomenal, but it's really the team of people currently right on the street, on patrol, on investigation, doing recruiting, managing our budget. We must not forget that it's really all of those phenomenal individuals taking calls, doing dispatch, doing budgets. I see we've got our budget person lead there, who are really making all this work. So I just want to commend them, and I want you to know that the commissioners, of course, appreciate your great work. So that's all I've got.
Well said. Thank you. Let me just end with a couple of comments, and I'll sound like a broken record. But Chief, you started with your opening comments and what you learned last week at the Major Cities Chiefs, and that is the focus on strategy. We have a strategy, and staying focused on strategy and not veering from that, and then at the same time leaning into our priorities of growing our resources, both in terms of people and technology, so that we can continue to deliver the safety to the people in this city in the way that they expect it. So to me, that is illustrated in some of the results that we heard today, in that what you also heard, Chief, from other major cities, we are seeing declines, and that sounds a little tone deaf because we know that we still have work to do, and we are not ignoring that. And that's why I go back to saying focus on strategy, focus on the priorities of getting resources, our people, continue with the training and the technology that they need to be successful in their individual roles. So I appreciate the hard work that goes into it. And with David also recognizing First Responders Day today and acknowledging all of our people. I did not know that, so I thank you for the reminder. That's all I have. If there's nothing else, we can take a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. That's a roll call.
Boswell, aye.
Whitaker, aye.
Romeus, aye.
Hall, aye.
Thank you.
Who seconded that?
Boswell. Oh, Whitaker.